I have sat next to strangers on planes my whole life. We share armrests, we share silence, we land, we disappear. I never thought a stranger could destroy my life at 35,000 feet. My name is Nadia, and flight CA-402 was the last normal day I ever had. It started with a delay, 8 hours, Gate 14, Terminal C. I sat on the airport floor, back against the wall, shoes off, phone dying. I had nowhere urgent to be. Or so I thought. I was 31, married 4 years to Daniel. A good marriage, or what I believed was a good marriage. Comfortable, warm, steady. The kind that doesn't make you nervous anymore. I should have known. Steady can also mean quietly falling apart. 8 hours in an airport teaches you things. Who panics, who adapts, who sits quietly and watches everyone else fall apart. I was the quiet one. The man across from me, he was watching too. When we finally boarded, I found my seat, 14A, window. The seat beside me, empty. For 20 minutes, I thought I had the row. Then he sat down, 14B. Dark jacket, calm eyes, a book he never opened. He did not speak immediately. He settled in, buckled his seatbelt, looked out my window briefly, then turned to me. "Long day?" he said. "8 hours long," I said. He smiled. "Me too." His name was Thomas. He said it simply, no last name offered, none asked. Just Thomas. He was easy to talk to, the way some strangers are when you know you will never see them again. You can be honest. There are no consequences. We talked about small things first. The delay, the airport food, the book he hadn't opened. "Why carry it if you won't read it?" I asked. "It makes me look like someone with a plan," he said. I laughed. It was the first real laugh I'd had in weeks. 2 hours in, we had moved past small talk. He asked about my life the way careful people do, not prying, just genuinely curious. Like what I said actually mattered to him. I told him about Daniel, the way I always described him, kind, reliable, present. "He sounds solid," Thomas said. "He is," I said. "You said that like you were convincing yourself," he said quietly. I looked at him. He looked back, steady, no apology. I don't know why I said it. Maybe it was the altitude. Maybe it was the darkness outside the window. Sometimes I feel like we are roommates who are very fond of each other, not husband and wife. It was the first time I had said that out loud, ever. He nodded slowly. I know someone like that. A man who had a good wife. Everything she gave him was real and honest, but he was living 2 lives at once, and she had no idea. I felt something shift, something small and cold in my chest. "Tell me," I said. He turned slightly in his seat. It started with a work trip. He traveled often. His wife trusted him completely. That trust he used like a key to open a door she didn't know existed. There was another woman, not a stranger, someone close, someone the wife smiled at every week, invited to dinners, called a friend. He paused. The worst betrayals are never from strangers. I said nothing. My hands were cold. He kept talking. The man in his story, he traveled for work every third week. He always called his wife from his hotel room, always at 9 p.m., always for exactly 20 minutes. Consistent, Thomas said. He was very consistent. Consistency can be love, or it can be a cover. Daniel traveled for work every third week. He always called me from his hotel room, always at 9 p.m. I gripped the armrest. I told myself this was a coincidence. Thousands of men travel every third week. Thousands. I said, "The friend, what was she like?" Thomas looked at me carefully. "Warm," he said. "The kind of person who remembers birthdays, who shows up when things are hard, who the wife called first when she needed someone." My mouth went dry. I thought of Claire, my closest friend, Daniel's colleague. She remembered every birthday. She showed up when things were hard. She was the first person I called when things were difficult. I pressed my back against the seat. "How long?" I asked. My voice, barely there. 2 years, Thomas said. The wife found out on a Tuesday. Not dramatically, no lipstick on a collar, no accidental text, just a receipt, a restaurant, a date her husband was supposed to be in another city. A receipt. I thought of the jacket pocket I had never checked. My hands were shaking now. "Thomas," I said. He looked at me. "Why are you telling me this?" A silence. The plane hummed around us. Someone coughed 3 rows back. A child laughed near the front. He did not look away. Because the wife in this story, she deserved to know before she landed, before she walked back into that life without the information she needed. I stared at him. "Who are you?" we whispered. He reached into his jacket. He placed something on the tray table between us. A photograph. Daniel, Claire, a restaurant I recognized, a date stamp in the corner. 3 weeks ago. "My name is Thomas Webb," he said quietly. "Claire is my sister. I found out 2 months ago. I tried to tell her to stop. She wouldn't listen, so I found you instead. You deserved to know from a person, not a text, not a rumor." I looked out the window. Darkness. Clouds. The wing light blinking slow and steady. Below us, a world that looked exactly the same as it had 3 hours ago. But nothing was the same anymore. Nothing would ever be. I did not speak for a long time. Thomas did not push. He sat quietly, giving me the silence, the way you give someone space to process something too large to process quickly. Not just anger, something worse. Recognition. Every small thing I had excused, every instinct I had silenced, every question I had swallowed whole. They all came back at once. I had known. Some part of me had always known. Does Claire know you found me? No, he said. Will you tell her? He thought about it. I don't know yet. I just know that you deserved to get off this plane with the truth. I thought about the last 4 years, every dinner, every anniversary, every morning he left and kissed my forehead. All of it playing back differently now. Same images, different meaning. That is the cruelest thing about betrayal. It rewrites the past without your permission. 1 hour left. What will you do? Thomas asked. I looked at the photograph still on the tray. I don't know yet, I said. That's honest, he said. What would you do? I asked. He was quiet a moment. Before we landed, Thomas gave me a folded piece of paper. 3 names, 3 dates, 3 locations. Everything I found, he said, in case you need it, in case someone tries to tell you that you imagined this. The plane began to descend. The city lights appeared below, small and scattered at first, then brighter, then everywhere. I watched them and thought, down there, Daniel was waiting for me, not knowing that I already knew. The wheels hit the runway, the cabin rattled, people clapped. They always clap. I never understood why. Thomas unbuckled his belt. He turned to me once more. I'm sorry, he said. For what it's worth, you seemed like someone who deserved better. You still are. I looked at him. Thank you, I said. He nodded. Then he turned and walked toward the front. I stood at baggage claim. My suitcase came around, the red one, the one Daniel bought me for our first anniversary. I picked it up. I stood very still in the middle of that crowd, and I made a decision. He was outside arrivals, smiling, flowers, yellow ones, my favorite. Welcome back, he said, reaching for my bag. I let him take it. I looked at his face, the face I had trusted completely. We need to talk, I said. Something shifted in his eyes, just for a second, a flicker, not guilt exactly, fear. We sat at the kitchen table, the flowers still in his hand, forgotten now, wilting slightly. I placed the photograph between us. He looked at it for a long time, then he looked at me, and he did not deny it. I was going to end it, he said. 4 words, the oldest words in the world. I had heard them in other people's stories. I never thought I would hear them at my own table. I believe you, I said. He looked up, surprised. And it changes nothing. His face fell. Nadia, don't, I said. Just don't. I called Claire the next morning. She answered on the first ring, her warm voice, her familiar hello. Nadia, how was your trip? I sat with the phone against my ear. I know, Claire, I said. A silence. The longest silence I have ever heard. She did not deny it either. She cried. She said she was sorry many times, in many ways. I listened to all of it. Then I said, I hope the sorry is real, but sorry doesn't give me back the 4 years I spent trusting you both. The weeks that followed were the hardest, not because of the anger. anger I could handle. It was the ordinary moments that broke me. Making one cup of tea, eating dinner alone, reaching for my phone to call Claire, then remembering. Daniel moved out 3 weeks later. He took very little. The apartment felt enormous without him, which surprised me. I had thought I would feel lighter. Instead, I felt the specific weight of a space where someone used to be. Going through things, I found the receipts, the ones from restaurants, the ones from weekends he was traveling. I lined them up on the kitchen table. 2 years of evidence I had been standing next to without seeing. I was not stupid, I was trusting. Those are not the same thing. I thought about Thomas often, a stranger who sat beside me for 4 hours and changed everything. I never got his number. I never tried to find him. Some people come into your life to deliver something, and then they are done. He gave me the truth before I walked back into the lie. That matters. If I had come home not knowing, I might have stayed another year, another 2, building a life on something hollow. 6 months after the flight, I was different. Not healed. Healing takes longer than 6 months, but different, quieter, more honest, less willing to silence the small voice that says something is wrong. I learned that instinct is not paranoia. When something feels wrong, it usually is. We silence it because we love someone, because we are afraid of what finding out will cost us. But the cost of not finding out is higher, always higher. 6 months later, I flew again. Same airport, Terminal C, Gate 14. I sat in the same spot on the floor, back against the wall. Different day, different life, but I remembered sitting there before, not knowing what was waiting in seat 14B. I thought about fear, how I had been afraid of the truth for so long, afraid it would break everything. It did break everything, and I was still here, still sitting, still breathing, still boarding the plane. Fear of the truth is always worse than the truth itself. My name is Nadia. A stranger on a plane told me a story, and I recognized myself before he finished. I lost a husband. I lost a best friend. I lost the life I thought I had. But I found something else, the woman who sits with the truth and does not look away. She was always there. I just needed a stranger in seat 14B to show her to me. If something in your life feels wrong, do not silence that voice, not for comfort, not for convenience, not for the fear of what you might find. The truth will not destroy you. It will only show you what was already broken, so you can finally start to build something real. Thank you for being here on English Story Hub. Nadia found out the truth at 35,000 feet from a stranger who owed her nothing. My question for you, if you were Thomas, would you have told her, or would you have stayed silent to protect your sister? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. Like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next story. Goodbye.